I'm Adam Housley, and this is Bias Bash. Since taking office on January 20th, President Donald Trump has been under constant media scrutiny on everything from executive orders to, of course, his now very famous or infamous tweets. A new Gallup poll released yesterday indicates that more than a third of Americans nationwide believe the mainstream media has been too tough on President Trump, while 28% feel they haven't been tough enough. Here now with reaction, Deputy Opinion Editor for the Washington Times, Kelly Riddell. Welcome, Kelly, are coming to our studio to talk about this stuff. And not a surprise, really, that it's split in half. No. In fact, with 30-some-odd saying that they're too tough and 28 saying that they're not tough enough. I want to look at that poll. In fact, let's pull that up right now, no pun intended, and give you the numbers to give us an idea. 36% say too tough, 31% say about right, 28% not enough, not tough enough, and then 5%, of course, the famous column of no opinion. What do you think?
I think that this is very telling, and it's telling for a few reasons. First, when you had the same poll back with President Barack Obama when he was in charge, only 11% of the population felt like the media was scrutinizing Obama. In the same reaction, they say over a third say that the media is being too tough on President Donald Trump, and I think that's right. The media really has become the opposition party for President Trump, and you saw this with the New York Times, a media critic, Jim Rutenberg, basically within the general election, come out and say, it's really hard for reporters to be objective about Trump, and we've got to keep him honest, and we've got to show the American public what a terrible candidate he is. And then today he has a column that's basically taking a hit at Kellyanne Conway for her Bowling Green misstatement, and basically calling all of his peers, giving them a big round of applause because they were able to bring her down over this misstep. I mean, it's really biased reporting that you're seeing here, coming from some of the most storied institutions like the New York Times. Right.
Now, of course, the defenders of Kellyanne point to the misconnection she was making with the terrorists that happened in Iraq that were brought to Bowling Green. That's where the confusion apparently came from, or at least that's what we're told. I think the other thing that needs to be brought into this question, and I wonder if it is affecting this poll, is the fact that nowadays members of the media put their opinions in a lot of cases right on Twitter, right on Facebook, right on Instagram. I follow many of them, and I have to tell you, I'm a bit surprised at the opinions that are coming out from many of my colleagues. They don't hold back. They're not trying to be unbiased whatsoever.
No, and there's a certain confirmation bias. We know that the majority of reporters are liberal. However, when there's a breaking story that looks like it's going to be bad for Donald Trump, rather than gather all the facts and report out the story, they go right on Twitter to immediately blast Donald Trump, and these things go viral. An example of that was when NBC News' Peter Alexander basically said that, breaking news, Donald Trump's lifting Russia's sanctions with, a branch of the former KGB. That was completely untrue. That went viral. That got over 6,000 retweets. And then he later updated the story and said, this wasn't as big a deal as we thought. It's just a formality that, may have been put in place when Barack Obama was president. Right. These are things that are very damaging to President Trump and his credibility, but it's what the mainstream media, they want to attack, they want to go on attack, but instead of getting their story straight and then reporting it, they go right to Twitter, and a lot of these things go viral.
Right, and some of this stuff eventually could potentially help some of those in the middle go towards his camp. Also, it hurts the really good reporting that's out there, and the true true criticism that does exist. All right, Kelly, appreciate you coming in as always. Good stuff.
Thank you.
For more on media analysis, I should say, on everything this week, you can tune in to Media Buzz with Howard Kurtz on Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And again at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Fox News Channel. Howie always has some great stuff on there and always has a pretty good take on everything. Until then, I'm Adam Housley in Los Angeles, and you're watching Bias Bash.